Welcome to Lola's Frugal Life Podcast. If you're on a mission to be more frugal with both your time and money, you're in the right place. In this podcast, we talk about topics that help enhance living a frugal lifestyle. The goal is to save time and money where we can so that we can use the rest on what matters most to us. We talk a lot about both time and money management so that we can waste as little as possible on both. We do this while also embracing a progress over perfection mindset. If that sounds good to you, then please stick around for the latest episode right after a few quick words from our sponsor.
Entrando em contato com atendimento ao cliente. Para muitas pessoas é um jeito fácil de arruinar um bom dia, mas na Zendesk nós deixamos a experiência do cliente melhor. Melhor para sua avó, melhor para o seu vendedor preferido de flores, melhor para o cara do apartamento 3A, melhor para você, melhor para todos. Porque enquanto alguns dizem que o cliente sempre tem razão, nós dizemos que o cliente é sempre humano. E como seres humanos, queremos fazer algo melhor para todos nós. Zendesk, experiência do cliente com IA desenvolvida para humanos.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Lola's Frugal Life Podcast. Today we are going to be talking about the impact of practicing gratitude for your home. But as usual, before we get into the topic, just a couple quick things to share. So as far as what's going on with me, my youngest is starting community college next week. I'm super excited. She's not sure what she wants to do yet, but she's just starting by taking a few classes to get started. So I'm really excited about that and see how things go and kind of, watching as she kind of thinks about career choices and some ideas of what she might want to do. So that's super exciting. And then I also got a couple of new reviews that I wanted to share with you. I'm always super excited when I get a review on Apple Podcasts because it's difficult to get them. I understand it's something you have to go out of your way to do and you just don't always think about it. So I'm always super appreciative when I do get them. And one of them, I love both of them, but one of them I was like extra super excited about because I believe that Who Left It is another podcast that I listen to, that I actually started out listening to years and years and years ago, and actually motivated me to make my own podcast when I used to do like some of the more cleaning related podcasts at the beginning when I did some of like the cleaning with me type podcasts where I did like the fly lady stuff and it wasn't like a clean with me, but it was like kind of like telling you like what I was going to be working on. I don't think I actually did any actual clean with me ones where I'm like actually live cleaning while recording. I know I did a laundry one like that, but I didn't really do that well with those because I felt like I couldn't really talk a lot about cleaning and kind of work in other conversations to make it interesting while I did it, which is where I got the idea from because I loved listening to Clean With Me podcast when I was cleaning. And Ronnie is the host of that. Well, now her and her daughter, it's Ronnie and Jessica. They split the episodes. There was a period of time where just her daughter, Jessica, took it over. And then now they like alternate episodes. Ronnie, I believe, is more like my age group. So I kind of tend to listen more to her episodes. But I do listen to Jessica's once in a while. They really do just talk you through cleaning your house. And even if I'm not cleaning what they're talking about, I just like hearing people talk about cleaning sometimes while I'm cleaning. So sometimes I listen to that, sometimes I do audiobooks, all different stuff. But anyway, I believe that Ronnie actually left me a review, which I'm super excited about. I sent her an email or a message on Instagram, but she hasn't seen it yet. So it's like driving me crazy because I want to know for sure if it's her. But the review is 5 stars and it says motivating. And it says, I'm listening to an old episode from 2020 and I do like listening to this lady clean since I have my own cleaning podcast and need to hear someone else's perspective. And the reviewer's name is Ronnie, Raani in Hobbs, and Ronnie is her name, and it's kind of an unusual-ish name. Not that many people have the name Ronnie and spelt that way. And since this person has a cleaning podcast, I'm like 99.9% sure that it was her. So I was so excited. It just was kind of like funny. I couldn't believe that she listened to my podcast and left me a review. So Ronnie, if you do hear this, I'm so excited that you left me a review, and thank you so much if it was you. I can't imagine it's not, but I'm going to attempt to get in touch with her again just to confirm if it was her. And then I got another 5-star review the very next day by Sarah. All the nicknames are taken. is the name of the person who left the review, the username. It says, "Wonderful" is the heading, and it's 5 stars. It says, "This is my new favorite podcast. It's practical and inspiring while also being realistic and encouraging. I especially appreciate the episodes on creating margin in your life and getting back on track with your cleaning routine. I'm a working mom, so I really value Lola's tips and life experience. A gem." So that was really, really nice. Thank you so much. You guys have no idea how excited I get when I see a review and how rewarding it is because, like I said, it is really difficult to get the reviews, and I am trying to grow this show completely organically. I'm not really interested in like trying to go on other podcasts to try and grow it that way. I just want to do my little thing with the little time that I have and hope that it builds up over time. So those were really, really nice. I really appreciate it and thank you so much. Oh, and I also wanted to mention that I've noticed suddenly that all of a sudden my YouTube audience seems to be growing. I have only a handful of actual videos on there. I want to do it. I want to make cooking videos, but I just honestly just I keep not just having the time for it. But YouTube, in like the last year or so, I guess they had this new feature added where you could have your podcast stream upload automatically to YouTube, and it just shows like a static image, like the image of the podcast, and but then it has the episode on there. And I don't know if more people that are interested in podcasts now are finding it there, but if you are listening to YouTube, thank you so much. Keep listening, share the show. It's really helpful to me to get the audience built out there too in like a different area than the normal podcast listening places. So I really appreciate any of you who have recently subscribed. It's just suddenly started to pick up. Nothing major, but more than I've ever had before, kind of growing on YouTube where I'm seeing a little pickup every day. So that's pretty exciting. And I just wanted to mention that. And thank you so much for those of you who are also listening out on YouTube. So as far as my loving lately, right now, I've stopped watering the plants in the morning like I did all summer long. Every summer, all summer long, every morning, I would go out before work or on the weekend when I would get up and go out and water all of our plants, our garden. We have a lot of things that need to be watered, and I just love going out there and watering them. But then the temperature started to drop, so it was chilly in the morning, even though it's still been pretty warm here now in New Jersey. Like the last week it's gotten a little bit warmer, but it had dropped like last week where it was warmer in the day, but it was really cool in the morning, like in the 50s. And it was just too cold for me to go out there with a hose and water things. So I'm just kind of like, I usually just kind of give up with the plants at the end of August. So I've stopped doing my watering routine every morning. And it's nice though because like it's a change. So now I have extra time in the morning to get things done because I've been using that time all summer to water the plants. So even though I'm kind of sad to see that planting season end, it's nice now that I have the extra time to get things done in the morning. So that's kind of what I'm loving right now, like that change in the routine. Okay, so reading, if you're a Prime member, again, it's already the first of the month. You can get your free book if you're not familiar with the program. If you're an Amazon Prime member, they have a program that you can sign up for called I think it's called Amazon First Reads or Prime First Reads or something like that. I think it's Amazon First Reads, but it's completely free, and you can get a free book for your Kindle every month, and it never goes away. So even if you don't have time to read it, like just look through the books and see what might sound interesting to you and buy it, and you'll have it for whenever you ever get around to reading it in the future. So if you like to read, I definitely recommend. I've been stocking up on them and I always have something available to read for free. So that's really nice. Of course, you can get stuff through the library too, but it's always nice to have extra free stuff around. Building up on my Kindle, I really like that. So just your reminder. I just finished a book called Darling Girls by Sally Hepworth. It has a Goodreads rating of 4.0. I really loved it. It was a 9-hour audiobook, which is kind of typical, but I blasted through it so fast because every time I had a couple minutes to listen, I would just put my earbud in and get like as much time as I could. I really, really liked it. It's about 3 girls who grew up in foster care. Bones of a baby are discovered under the home, and they're all brought back for questioning, and the story unravels from there. So I've read Sally Hepworth before. I think I've pretty much liked all of her books, but I really enjoyed this one, so just sharing that. My favorite meal this week, just real quick, was Chipotle night. Every time I do that, it's my favorite. I love making a bowl for dinner, and it's just super easy to make. And Taco Tuesday theme meals is my favorite night anyway, because it's easy. I don't really have much to do that night, except I do clean that night, but I don't know, it's just kind of like a quick cooking night for making my meal. And I love Chipotle night because I love making bowls for dinner. So that's that. Okay, so let's talk about the actual topic. So, gratitude and contentment. They're really one of the most useful practices for leading a frugal life because when we're grateful for what we have, we're just more naturally going to be content with what we have. By being grateful and content with what we already have can really help us avoid always being on that search for the next best thing. And when we are not always searching for the next best thing, it's really helpful in allowing us to conserve our financial resources and make sure we really put them towards what we value most. It gives you more time to really kind of think about what you want to do with the resources that you have and what is really in line with your values rather than just kind of always like upgrading, and looking for something new. And for most of us, our homes are one of the largest assets we have, but they're also an asset that can get us into a financial situation that really stretches us too thin. So what I really wanted to talk about today is just some thoughts about being grateful for the home that you currently have. It does not mean you should never upgrade your home if that's what you really want. But when we take the time to be grateful for the home that we have right now, it can really change our perspective and give us more clarity on what we really want. And you may realize that you don't need more than what you already have when you really kind of think about it, or you may realize that you do want more. Either way, it's really just kind of being happy with what you have right now, even if you are planning to make that change in the future. And it does feel really nice to come home every day to something that you're really grateful for. So, one of the things that we can do is really just kind of think about the purpose that our home serves. The most basic purpose of a home is to give us shelter and climate control. But even beyond that, there are other basic purposes that our homes serve that we might not even really think that often about. Your home really gives you somewhere to kind of be yourself and be comfortable. I mean, you're not going to get into pajamas and sit down to relax while you're at work, but you can do that at home. It gives you a place to store food and cook meals for your family. It gives you somewhere to feel secure and get away from the outside world if you're having a bad day or if you're going through a challenging time. It gives you a place to rest and recover if you don't feel good. There are just so many things that our homes give us that needs that they cover in our lives. And we might not often think of all those things that we get out of our home. We sometimes just take those things for granted. But imagine if you didn't have that place to go to, how different your life would be. So even just thinking about the very basic things that your home provides you can really kind of give you a different perspective on how much you may appreciate it more than you really even think about. Another thing is to really try to not compare your home to others. No matter what we have or how much we have of it, there is always going to be someone with something bigger and better. I was thinking how much more happy people would be with their homes if there were no other homes to compare to. Like, imagine if there was no other homes to compare to and all you had was your own home. You would never be thinking about, you know, oh, I wish it was like that home, or oh, look how nice that house is. If there was nothing else to compare to, you'd probably be much happier with what you have because you wouldn't necessarily ever even think about how someone might have something better than what you have. And I'm not saying that we're all going around like looking at other people's homes and thinking like, oh, I wish I had that, whatever. But even just like, looking at different things and always wanting, they can kind of lead you to wanting to upgrade things that you might have been completely happy with before. So just kind of trying to actively not really compare your home to others and just kind of I don't know, thinking about what you currently have. And yeah, you consider what upgrades you might want, but just kind of thinking about what you have and how happy you are with it rather than looking at what you might be missing, I guess is what I'm saying. But really being mindful of this can really make us much more happy and grateful for what we currently have. Another thing we can do that can help us with being more practicing more gratitude with our home is to take some time decluttering, because sometimes when we've lived in our home for a while, we often start to accumulate some excess stuff. And the feel of a cluttered room can really make us feel unhappy about that space. It can make us think that we need more space because then everything would fit nicely. Or it might just make us feel like unhappy with how a room feels. But no matter how much space we have, there's always a potential to continue to add more stuff to the space. So try to spend a little time decluttering an area that you feel like is maybe a little messy or just doesn't feel very comfortable or nice to you. And a lot of times, just simply getting rid of a few things and neatening things up can really make a huge difference. You might have a whole different view and feeling for a space after doing a little decluttering. And when you might have been feeling like you needed something more, a lot of times you'll wind up seeing that the space you have is perfectly fine for what you need if you just take a little bit of time to get rid of a few things or reorganize a few things. It can really make a room feel completely different. And sometimes it's hard to visualize that when you're looking at it the way it is. So just kind of making yourself go through that practice and just start tackling something can really make a big difference.
Interrompemos esse podcast para perguntar: quem você quer ser?
Designer, engenheira, pedagoga,
administrador.
Quer saber? O Senac EAD é nota máxima no MEC. Tem cursos de diversas áreas, com conteúdo elaborado por especialistas do mercado e professores mestres e doutores. Ainda tem o Senac Carreiras, conectando estudantes a vagas de emprego em todo o país. Saiba mais em ead.senac.br/graduação.
Another tip is to maybe consider a little new paint. So having someone paint for you can be quite a bit on the expensive side. I've never actually done it because every time I've looked into it, it just seems way too expensive and we just paint ourselves. But if you're looking for a low cost way to spruce up a room, buying a little paint and doing the painting yourself can make a huge difference. Painting is really a pain in the neck, but you can always do a little bit at a time if you're okay with your room looking a little bit crazy for a while until you're done with it. But paint really makes things look like brightened and new, and it can really take a room that was maybe feeling a little bit, not as nice as you would like it to feel. It can really make a huge difference. So, like I had talked about a while ago when we were redoing our living room and hallway, and then we did our kitchen, it was like we just did a little bit at a time as we could. And if someone came over, we were like, hey, we're taking our time doing this because we didn't have the time where we could just take like a whole long period of time to just constantly work on this. We had a lot of other things going on. So when we had time on a weekend, we would take a few hours and paint like one section. So it doesn't have to be something that you have to take like all this huge amount of time to do all at once. You can take your time and get it done slowly. But just simply painting can really make things feel upgraded and nice and clean and new. And that's definitely, and plus sometimes paint colors just kind of, you get used to them and then they start to look kind of dull and it just can kind of make things not feel as nice. So it's definitely something that's relatively inexpensive that you can do to kind of make you feel a little bit better about a room that maybe you're not loving right now. Another thing you can do is deep clean something that you've been meaning to get to. Sometimes we can really get like a negative feeling about our home if there's something that we'd really like to take care of, but we just keep putting it off. It could be an organization project that you really want to get to. Like for example, we had kept throwing a few things in our laundry room downstairs. Like we're like, oh yeah, we got to put this away. We got to put this away. Go put it in the laundry room. Go put it in the laundry room. And then it got to the point where it was like annoying because I would go in there and I would try and get something and there'd be stuff in the way and I'd have to move it out of the way. And every time I went down there to do laundry, it would like drive me nuts because I would feel like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. But instead of just dealing with it, I would just think, oh, I have to do this, and then I would leave. Well, we finally actually got around to doing it this weekend, and we didn't like make it 100% better, but we did enough that it makes it like a big improvement. I'm not like having to shove things around when I go down there. So even just like taking a little bit of time to do one of those things that you've been putting off, or maybe getting a repair that needs to be made, if it's something that's relatively easy to make progress on, even just devoting a little bit of time, once a day or once a week to get a little bit done, and then just kind of making progress on something over time. If it's like a deep cleaning project that you need to do, maybe just decide like this Saturday I'm going to work on that. It's usually not things that are going to take a lot of time. It's just usually something that's more annoying to do and that's something that you'd rather not do because you just are avoiding it, obviously. But when those things are in the back of your mind bothering you, they can really make you feel like not as happy and appreciative of your home as you may be. So just really think about what some of those things might be, and try to see what you can do to make an improvement on that. Because even sometimes just making a little improvement on something, even if you don't completely finish it, can really make a big difference in how you feel about an area of your home. And then another thing you could do to practice more gratitude about your home is just really focus on what you love about your home. Like, what area do you love the most, or what area might you love the most if you did some minor upgrades? Do you love to cook? Maybe you can do something to make the kitchen more useful for you. You don't have to do a complete renovation. Maybe you can just like rearrange how you store some things to make it more functional so that you can enjoy cooking more or make it more easy to do. Maybe you love spending time outside. Can you maybe get a couple of new cushions for outside chairs to brighten things up a bit? Maybe a new patio umbrella, or a fire pit to have a little place to gather around in the summer. There's so many different little things that you can do to bring focus to or improve like those things that you really love about your home. So really think about what it is that you love the most, or the things that you love to do when you're at home the most, and see what you can do to enhance them without having to make a huge upgrade, or spend a lot of money to do that. There's usually something small that you can do that makes things just a little bit better. And then also, if you are in the feeling where you really do think that you need to make an upgrade, whether that be doing a renovation to your home, or moving to a new home, just really think about the financial impact that that upgrade might be. Because one of the things that's really always kept me loving our home, especially, well, one of the things, there's a lot of things that keep me grateful about our home, but one of the things that's really important and is related to frugal living is that we can afford our home. We never feel stressed about making our mortgage payments or making our property tax payments, or, obviously if we lost a job, that would be a whole nother situation. But with our current financial situation, we can afford our home. We're not like stretched to the limit where, if something happened, we would miss a payment, or, you know what I mean? Like, we're not, we haven't pushed ourselves to the limit. And a lot of people do push themselves to the limit because they want to max out, like to get like the best that they can get for what they think they can afford. But that can also create a lot of stress. So, of course, I'm not saying that I have never looked at the possibility of upgrading where we live, but when I have, I've never actually gotten to the point where I wanted to move forward with doing that. But even if that is where you're at, again, just really consider the impact and make sure you definitely can afford what it is that you're looking to upgrade to, because you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're stretched too thin financially just so that you can have some of those upgrades. I never feel like it's worth the stress just to have a larger home or a home with better features if you can't really easily fit it into your budget, because you might be feeling happy about these extra things that you have, but you're going to be feeling stress about paying your bills. And who wants to, like, how does that make for things to be better just because you have a larger home, or, a certain kind of swimming pool, or who knows what? So if you can afford it and that's what you really want, of course, that's a great thing to do, but just really consider if it is something that you can truly afford, and really spend some time to first practicing gratitude about the home that you currently have, because maybe you might see that you have all that you need and you're just not really focused on it and thinking about all of those things that you're getting out of your current home. So that's all I have to say about this today. I hope you just take a little time to think about it, because even if you're not thinking about upgrading or doing anything like that, just practicing gratitude about your home can really just kind of give you a good feeling about your life and all that you have. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you back here next week. So thank you for checking in for this podcast episode. And don't forget, you can always email me with any questions or suggestions at lolasfrugallife@gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at lolasfrugallife. And you can find a blog post for most of my episodes, and definitely all of my meal plan episodes, at lolasfrugallife.com. You can also join our private listeners group at facebook.com/groups/lolasfrugallife. And if you enjoy the show, please make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen from. And I would love it if you would screenshot the show and tag me on Instagram so I could see you're listening. Also, if you can please take a couple of seconds to rate and review the podcast. Those ratings and reviews are what help the show come up better in search results so that other people can find this podcast. So that will really help me in growing my audience. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have an awesome day.